And boy, that's the biggest fish story I've ever heard. Okay, so I've only done this once, and nobody took me up on it. So I'm going to do it a second time here. If anybody can tell me what quote that is, what movie that quote is from, I will send you a gift. No cheating, don't use the internet. If you can tell me what movie that quote is from, I will send you a gift. Okay, here we are. It is 2 days to Christmas, December 23rd, and I am doing another review. I told you I would get a review of one that qualifies for something in the book, and today is Jaws. I am wearing my, obligatory Jaws shirt. The only shirt that I have is Jaws is a tank top, and it's really big on me, but it is what it is. So I'm wearing the only Jaws thing that I have because it's frickin' Jaws, and I should have hold on. I should try to get in the picture my. My Jaws boat, I don't know how well that's going to stay in the picture. It's the Jaws boat and Quint. I wish I had... I'm going to try to get that in the picture, kind of. I wish I had the one where the Jaws is actually eating Quint, but I can't find that right now, and it's really expensive. One of these days, maybe I'll have that one because I would love to have that one. Anyway, a few disclaimers before we really get into this. These videos are completely unedited and unfiltered. That is my gimmick, okay? I do not edit these because if I were to edit these, I probably would never post them. And I don't filter them, so whatever comes out of my mouth is whatever comes out of my mouth. And, every time I watch Jaws, and when you hear my dog, you hear my dog. And I'm not editing that out. Every time I watch Jaws, I've got to have a glass of red wine. And yes, my glass may be really full. That's just because I'm probably going to be talking for an hour. And I need not only libations, but to coat my throat in something. These are unfiltered. So whatever comes out of my mouth is what comes out of my mouth. If I say something wrong, hopefully I'll correct it in the quotes underneath, or the description underneath. The other thing is there will be spoilers, especially for the movie that I am reviewing, which tonight is Jaws. I mean, there's going to be tons of spoilers. But I mean, how can you really give this away? You can't really give this away. I mean, this is a classic. Anyway, that's what the challenge is tonight. But there will be spoilers for things. Sometimes I go off on tangents and I give spoilers for other movies. So look at the list below this video. I will have a whole list that shows what movies I talk about, and I will have a header that says spoilers so you can avoid spoilers for whatever movies you might not have seen. So let's get into it. Challenge number 2. Have I done challenge number 1? Yes, I did challenge number 1 before, a film that won Best Picture, American Beauty. So today is challenge number 2, a movie classic. This is a classic. I don't care who you are, you've got to admit, Jaws is now a classic. Movie title Jaws, year release 1975, aspect ratio 2.39:1, running time 2 hours and 4 minutes, genre action, mystery, thriller, adventure, mystery, thriller. Not sure I would have put those categories if I were in charge of IMDb, but that's what it has. Rated PG, which I was shocked. I was like, isn't this rated R? Like, that was my first instinct, was like, isn't this rated R? No, it's rated PG-13. I'm very self-conscious about wearing a tank top. I'm not a big tank top person, and you can't really see Jaws as much as I wish you could. Like, this is not a fashion video, Elijah. Like, don't worry about the fact that they can't see Jaws well enough. Okay, let's move on. Starring Roy Scheider, Richard Dreyfuss, and Robert Shaw. Date challenge completed, December 23rd, which is tonight. Hopefully I can get you this movie tonight because it's only 9:40. At rating, my rating is absolutely 5 out of 5, 10 out of 10. This is an absolute marvel of cinematic history. Classic. Directed by Steven Spielberg. Produced by David Brown, Richard Zanuck. Written by Peter Benchley. It was Peter Benchley's book or novel, and Carol Gottlieb. Gottlieb. I hope I'm saying that right. Music by John Williams. Whoa. Okay, William. And everybody knows the soundtrack. Music by John Williams. Awards received: Best Sound Editing. Is that right? Oh my God. Is it Best Sound and Best Sound Editing, or is it Best Sound and Best Editing? Did I write this right? It's film editing. Okay, it's not sound editing. It is sound, editing, and of course, the music. Oh my God, the music. Wow. Why did you choose this particular film? I love this movie. This movie is brilliant. It's well done. It's so fun to watch and see the difference in cinematic. So this is absolutely a classic. I don't know how many times I'm going to say that tonight, but this is a classic. And when you watch it, you see the difference in something that can still impact you today. Because I think that people who have never seen this, who were born 10 years ago, 12 years ago, can still watch this today and be blown away. My friends' kids, I bought the original Superman, the movie, the original with Christopher Reeve, the original Superman, the movie. I bought that on Blu-ray. And so I had a DVD and I was like, what am I going to do with this DVD? And so I gave it to my friend and he showed his kids who are 10 years old and they loved it. Loved it. Okay, so there are still movies that were made plenty of years ago that today still people would be like, wow. And I absolutely believe Jaws is one of them. It is so brilliantly made and can make such a brilliant impact on people today that I think somebody who was 10, 12 years old, 15 years old could watch this and never having seen it and still be blown away. It is brilliant. This is why I chose this particular film for a film classic. Of course, I could have chosen anything old, Casablanca, which I've never seen, The Godfather, I could have used 2001, A Space Odyssey. There are so many things I could have chosen, but I chose this because I love it, and I would love to talk about it, and that's why. And it's wonderful. It's brilliant. Have you seen this movie before? Of course I've seen it plenty of times. Would you recommend this film? Yes. Again, it is a classic. I would recommend this to anybody. I didn't realize it was PG. I thought it was R, but knowing that it's PG, I would recommend this to anybody. It's very well done. Brilliant, very well done. Which character would you most able to identify with or connect with? In which way? I've said this so many times. I hate this question. So tonight I have changed the question. Which character would you like to play? Okay. Being an actor, I want to look at this and go, which character would I like to play? And when I changed that and looked at it from that lens as I watched the film earlier tonight, I literally just finished it 20 minutes ago. So as I finished it, I was thinking to myself, which character would I like to play and why? And there were two characters that popped in my mind right away. One was Brody, because he's so not me. I would love to play him and just to see what I could come up with in playing that kind of character. He has so many dimensions, and he actually has a character shift, whereas the other characters in this don't have growth. I don't believe that Hooper really grows in this film. His respect for Quint grows, absolutely. I don't think Quint's character grows whatsoever at all, not even an inch. But I think his respect for Hooper changes. I think that Brody's character absolutely grows. He changes from who he is in the beginning to who he is at the end of the film. And I like that. And I appeal to that. And I would like to play around with that. I would love to play that. The other character is Quint. I know I could play Quint easy. It's one of the characters I'm sure that a lot of people, if they were casting this and they wanted to cast me in it, that's what they would probably see me as first. Quint. Absolutely. Put him as Quint. I'm not Robert Shaw, but if you wanted to make a film that wasn't Steven Spielberg's film, and I auditioned for it, and you say, I love him, I want to cast him, but who do I cast him as? It would be Quint. And I think that I could play that really well and bring something to it. And there are some fun things that I really like about this character, and I'm sure I will mention in my notes that I would love to do, love to play. Memorable quote, okay, come on, how can you not? You're going to need a bigger boat. Everybody knows that line, whether you've seen the movie or not. Because it's a classic, there are certain lines that you absolutely know. Terminator, I'll be back. If you haven't even seen the movie, you will know it. There are certain terms or certain lines from movies that whether you've seen them or not. And that's absolutely one of them. You're gonna need a bigger boat. I have notes to that effect later. Were you surprised by the ending? I was not surprised by the ending. I wouldn't do anything different. They had to win. Jaws had to die. The shark had to die. Yes, absolutely. Jaws is not the name of the shark. The shark is the shark. Jaws is just Jaws. Anyway, what elements do you feel the film? What elements of this film do you feel have helped it become a movie classic? It's hard to say. How do you know what's going to be a classic when you're making it? You don't know when you're making it. You don't know that you're going to have an Academy Award winning film on your hand when you're making it. You don't know that you're going to have a film that lasts the ages when you're making it. When you're making Terminator, you don't realize, holy shit, this is going to spawn not only a bunch of sequels, but a huge following forever and ever and ever. And the same thing with Jaws. You don't know that when you're making it. I mean, they had a terrible time making this. And there are plenty of videos you can watch online about how they had a terrible time making this. Did they know this was going to be like one of the greatest films of all time? No, they didn't know that. But it became that. So it's hard to say what made this a classic. I think that the fact that this, much like Stephen King's It, this made people afraid to go in the ocean. This movie is why people are afraid to go swimming in the ocean. It is why so many people are afraid of clowns. Absolutely. That's one thing. The music, not like It, but the music is like sweeping and perfect and wonderful. So the music is a huge element that just made this a classic. Like, it's hard to like what is a classic? What is it? Is Braveheart a classic? Because I think the music is absolutely. Jurassic Park is music, and I hate to like pull John Williams again, but Jurassic Park. I mean, beautiful music and is that a classic? I think by now it might be a classic. Godfather, the music is so, most people who don't know or haven't seen The Godfather can still hear the music and go, okay, it's classic. So music is the brilliant music is one of the other aspects. The third aspect that I wrote down is that this director went on to be just a breakout, amazing director that just made so many films from this point on that are iconic and like huge iconic films. I did a review of Saving Private Ryan, which I'm shocked that I still have 0 views on that review. Maybe it's just the wrong time of year to review Saving Private Ryan. But Spielberg went, Schindler's List. And so many other things that he did that just made him like a huge icon in the film industry. And this kind of bleeds into the next question. Can you name any modern films that have those same elements in them? And I picked Dune Part 1. Can't wait for Dune Part 2. But the reason why I bring that up is two reasons. The number one element was not, it and Jaws, where Jaws made you afraid to go in the water, and it made you afraid of clowns. Dune doesn't have that aspect of it, but Dune Part 1 by Denis Villeneuve with Timothée Chalamet has this innovative style of music. This breakout, innovative style of, this is not the kind of music that you would just listen to on a soundtrack, but it fits the film, oh my God, perfectly. Like, whoa! And it's not your conventional way of making music. It really isn't. There are plenty of YouTubes and interviews where they talk about how he did the music, and it's brilliantly done. And the sound and the music both. I think Denis Villeneuve, the director, is one of those guys who really pays attention to music and sound. It's not just the music and the sound. It's not just the film, but it's the music and the sound and the film combined. And he really, really pays attention to it. If you look at all of his works, Blade Runner 2049, Arrival, all of his films, even Prisoner, all of his films, really, he pays attention to the sound, the music, and how it moves his direction and moves his camera movements. It's gorgeous. He really plays with it and he pays attention to it. So that's one of the elements. The other one is, I hope that Denis Villeneuve, really becomes I've said before in one of my other reviews that he is my second favorite director of all time. Brilliant, fantastic. I would absolutely love to work with him. Obviously, my first is, I've said before, Quentin Tarantino. Unfortunately, Quentin Tarantino is already working on what he says is his last film. I would give anything in the world, I would give everything that I have to make a film with Quentin Tarantino. Absolutely, no doubt, hands down. He is the number one director I would love to work with and make a film with. But unfortunately, he has said this is his last film, and that really hurts, because I'm not where I need to be to make a film with him. Okay, but Denis Villeneuve is absolutely my second choice. I would love to make a film with Denis Villeneuve, because I literally have this thing that I wrote down in 2001 that literally says, I wish I could make a movie that makes someone feel the way I feel when I watch a movie made by Quentin Tarantino or Denis Villeneuve. That is filmmaking. I literally wrote that in 2001, and it sits here on my desk and will always sit here on my desk forever and ever and ever until I'm making movies that are like that. Oh my God, like just brilliant filmmaking, these guys. And I would love to work with Denis Villeneuve, and I hope that he becomes, I hope that one of his films, or more than one of his films, in years to come becomes a film classic, because he deserves it. His filmmaking is brilliant. Okay, let's move on. We're 18, and I'm not even done with the book. Okay, anything else you'd like to say? I have plenty of notes, and this little last thing that they always put at the end of the book, or the end of the challenge. The Casablanca 1942 premiere was moved to an earlier date to coincide with the liberation of Casablanca in World War II. I haven't seen that film. One of these days, maybe I'll watch that film. It's I saw this YouTube interview of like some of these really famous actors who were talking about what films they had never seen. And it's like, oh my God, you have never seen that? What? You've never seen? Yes, Casablanca, I have never seen. And there's nothing that draws me to that film. Maybe one of these days I'll actually watch it, but to be honest, anyway. Okay, let's move on with the notes. Somehow the music sounds aquatic. Isn't that interesting? I'm not talking about the iconic dun dun. No, I'm not talking about that. That's what I'm talking about. That the woodwind, that sounds aquatic. Especially when you've got a scene where you're underwater and you hear it and you're like, wow, that is so aquatic. You know, it sounds like we're underwater. This music fits perfectly. Of course, it won the Academy Award for it. And that first attack with the woman, before she gets attacked, listen to the music. It sounds like we're underwater. The music sounds like water or underwater. He really brings the underwater shots to life. Brilliant music. Brilliant music. Isn't this how Jaws started? I love that line from No Hard Feelings. Isn't this how Jaws started? Okay, that just marks the fact that this is a classic film. Come on, people, classic. If you are still, to this day, No Hard Feelings, which just came out earlier this year, if you are still to this day either mentioning or quoting or talking about this film, you know, how almost 100 years later, wait, I'm a dumbass, almost 50 years, excuse me, almost 50 years later? It was made in 1975, so 25, almost 50, 50 years later. Almost 50 years later, you're still talking about this film in other films. Of course it's a classic. Of course it's a classic. Why did I think 100? What in the world? Anyway, now that I know about the Oscar for sound, I was like listening to the sound as I watched this film, and especially in the beginning, all the sounds. Wow, yeah, brilliantly done, very, very, very well. Oh my God, okay, I have been wanting to talk about this scene for so long. And here we are finally doing a review of Jaws, and I get to talk about this scene where in the beginning, when the boy comes in and goes, I was attacked by a vampire or whatever. His hand is all, you know, messed up and bloody, and he comes in and talks about, you know. So this scene is so brilliantly done, and I feel like these days we have lost this art in film where we try to make it seem like real life. We are too scripted now, and we're too cut, like 100 cuts in one little scene. You don't need all those fucking cuts. Like, let's chill on the cuts. Okay, let's chill on this angle and that angle and this angle and that angle. And within 2 minutes, you've got 50 different angles, and you're like, calm down on that. Let's just watch the scene play out. Let people act. Let people have fun with what they're doing. Capture real life. 1975, Jaws. This brilliant scene where the boy comes in with his hand and the mom takes him over to the sink and is washing his hand and trying to clean it, and the phone rings, so Brody goes over to answer the phone, and we're capturing all of this from one angle. The mom and the son are talking over here. He's on the phone here talking to her or talking to whoever, we don't know who, and he's got his lines in between their lines, and it's brilliantly timed. Fucking hell. This is what theater is about, too. When you see a script in theater and you've got to interchange all these things, you've got to listen out for who else is talking, you've got to pay attention to what's going on, what you are doing and what they're doing, and make it seem real in the moment, and have these cuts, inner scenes, excuse me, I just knocked the mic, these inner scenes, cut, you've got to make it seem real. This makes it seem real. Everything's going on at once. This is how life is. We don't wait. Okay, you talk, and then we wait. And then they talk, and then we wait. And then we hear them talk, and then we wait. And then we hear them talk. No. Everything happens at once. And multiple times throughout this film, I have this note. And this is where it starts. The brilliance of making it look real. Making it look real. It's such a beautiful little town. I love going through the town in the beginning. I would love to visit wherever it is. It's nice. The reaction to the body when they find the body. We don't even need to see the body. Their reaction is so brilliant. It makes us believe as if we've seen it. Again, the real life, the brilliance of real life. I love it when his secretary comes in or whatever. What's her name? Polly. Let Polly do the printing. Yeah, when Polly comes in, is telling her about the kids doing the karate chopping, and he's talking to the coroner on the line, and he's writing his report. You know, that is also brilliantly done, where it feels like real life. Everything's kind of happening at once. Very well done. Very well done. Oh my God, the outfits. This was made in 1975, and looking at the outfits is like, this is not like we made it now and it's a period piece and we're trying to like recreate what the 70s look like. No, this is the 70s, and the outfits are, oh my God, that atrocious sports coat that the mayor constantly wears, that light blue his sport coat with the anchors on is just grotesque. Like, oh, who would wear that nowadays? But I have to say, like, his Cadillac is gorgeous. Much more gorgeous than any vehicle on the road that's come out in the last couple of years. This Cadillac that he drives on the little ferry, I'm looking at it like, God, that's just a gorgeous vehicle. I don't like the color, but it is a gorgeous vehicle. Whereas, honestly, in the last, I would say 5-10 years, I have not seen a vehicle that has been made that was that beautifully made. So interesting that the outfits are disgusting, and yet the vehicles are beautiful. The dialogue is wonderful. And these actors all, I don't know if it was the directing, it may have been like I need a certain performance out of everybody, and I'm gonna get it because I'm the director. I'm fucking Steven Spielberg, which he was or wasn't at the time, but I need this performance out of you, and I'm gonna get it. I don't know if it was the directing or if it was just the actors he chose, but wow, brilliant performances. Wonderful dialogue, very, very, very well written, wonderful dialogue. But the performances are great and so conversational and so wonderful. Wonderful. That first beach scene. When he says, "That's some bad hat, Harry." So I know that Bryan Singer, a director, his loan out company is called, his production company is called Bad Hat Harry. And you may or may not know this, he named his company after that line because he was so impacted by Jaws. I know so many people who want to be filmmakers today who are insanely impacted by Jurassic Park. Well, Bryan Singer was very much impacted by Jaws, and so his production company is Bad Hat Harry after that line. That's some bad hat, Harry. Speaking of Bryan Singer, I actually met him once when I first moved to LA. I was at a bar in West Hollywood, and I don't know if he was hitting on me or not. I did not look like I do now. Not at all. I look very much like a twink. I was 25, 26 years old. Very thin, anyway, I don't know if he was hitting on me or not. I was with my best friend, Dan, at the time, and Bryan Singer had just gotten back to the States from Spain. He was filming Valkyrie, and he and my friend Dan started talking in Spanish because my friend Dan talks Spanish, and I think it was just his birthday, and he just got back from filming Valkyrie. Anyway, I did meet him. A very nice guy, very sweet. Okay, back to Jaws. I love the camera angles, the point of view from the shark. Such a smart way. It's just, we want to get those shots. We want to make it, from his point of view. Such a smart idea, and so well done. All these underwater shots in 1975 are brilliant. Like, wow, I can't believe they got such great, clear shots from underwater in 1975. Like, wonderful, wonderful job. The Kentner boys attack. I think that is one of the most gut-wrenching attacks in the entire film. And I think it comes from the fact that I'm not expecting it. I know Brody is looking out for it, but at this point in the film, we're too early in the film to expect something like that. And so I feel like, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. So I'm not expecting that attack. And when it happens, it's gut-wrenching. Oh my God. Like, I always find myself reacting severely to the Kentner attack and how it flops over. And I think the other reason why it's so gut-wrenching is because you see it from such a distance. You're not seeing it from up close. So you're not... Suspending disbelief is one of the things you have to do when you're watching a film, especially a film like this. When you're watching Love Actually, you don't have to suspend disbelief. It's just a bunch of hooey, and you're just kind of watching hooey. I get that from Why Him, hooey. Anyway, I just watched Why Him not long ago. But I Love Actually, I just watched it a couple of nights ago. It's the first time I've seen it since it came out. I saw it when it came out, didn't really like it because I couldn't connect to it because there is zero, if I remember correctly, zero, and I just watched it and I felt the same way. There is zero LGBT representation in that film, and that's sad. I feel zero connection to it. There's no storyline that I can kind of connect to. There are parts that I can maybe it's all straight, which is it's frustrating. But anyway, when I watched the film the other day, like 2 nights ago, I watched it and just went, this is all like make believe and hooey. Like, there's nothing in this that screams real life. Nothing in this that screams reality or real life. Why did I bring that up? I went off on a tangent and I don't know why. Because it's kind of, it's kind of fake, kind of blah, because none of it really feels like it could be based in reality. This is Hollywood, and you get that it's all Hollywood. I just watched a movie earlier today it's just pure Hollywood. Nothing makes sense. Is that family swap? Oh, horrible. Not well done. The acting is fine, but not well done because nothing feels like it fits right. The storylines don't feel like they're making any sense. They're jumping from piece to piece just because we have to get somewhere. Nothing makes sense, okay? The reason I bring that up is because a lot of times we have to go, okay, suspend disbelief and just be in the moment and enjoy the movie for what it is. And so I enjoyed those movies. I enjoyed Love Actually. I enjoyed, Family Switch, simply because you have to set aside, this is a film, and enjoy the moment. This moment, when the Kentner boy gets attacked, because we're not... The filming is not right on top of it. We're not watching it from the water. We're not watching it right on top of it. It's not right in our face. We are watching it from a distance. We see him roll over from a distance. We see it all from a distance. So we get the feeling of watching it, of being a spectator of it happening. And in that, we feel like, holy shit, this could be real. I could really be watching this. It's so beautifully done. And like I said, the most gut-wrenching attack of the entire film. The most gut-wrenching attack of the entire film, in my opinion. And I need to get through these notes because I have tons of notes and we're already at 33 minutes. I say that every video, don't I? I say that every time. And somehow I tend to make it work. The town meeting, again, beautifully done because it's conversational, and what I love is you constantly hear people talking, but we're only focusing in on the conversation we want to hear. Again, it makes you feel like a spectator, like we're watching it happen, like this is real. Constantly hearing everybody talk, and we pick up the bits and pieces of what we want. I don't think that's funny at all. Is that $3,000 in cash or check? It's really nice because we only pick up what we want to hear. And oh my God, the first time we see Quint is like, and we see Quint, and then we don't see him again for like 40 minutes or some shit like that. It's so well done. That first scene with Robert Shaw, oh, wow. His performance is brilliant. It's not like catching bluegills or tommy cats. A little tenderizing, down you go. You want to ante up, you want to pay, you want to live on welfare your whole life, your whole summer. This whole, you all know me, you all know how I make my living. It's beautiful. Beautifully done. I value my life a lot more than $3,000, Chief. I'll find him for 3, but I'll catch him and kill him for 10. It's just a wonderful performance. Like wow, Robert Shaw was just the perfect. It's hard to see anybody else in this role. As much as I would have fun playing it, it's hard to see anybody else in that role. I remember somebody remarking on how a brilliant actor, the mark of a brilliant actor is being able to eat while you are performing and still get across the performance just as impactfully. And I think I remember them making a point of talking about John Voight in the show 24. And one of the very first scenes you see John Voight in that season, I can't remember what season it is. Is that season 7? I can't remember exactly what season that is. It's one of the later seasons, absolutely. But the season that he's in, the very first scene that he's in, he is literally eating dinner. He is eating as he's performing, and it's brilliant. He's so great. And the fact that he is eating does not disturb his performance in the slightest. Yet, I've talked about other performers who literally cannot eat when they're performing. I don't know what it is. I've mentioned in Reservoir Dogs, I talked about how now, he has a plate full of pancakes and he's not eating shit, because he can't perform through that, or I don't know, maybe he can't, I don't know, but it definitely, I hate to say bad things about people, but he's not eating and performing. He can't handle the two at the same time. I don't know if he can or can't, or if Quentin was just like, don't even try it. But John Voight is the ability of the actor who absolutely can. And to see Robert Shaw sitting there chewing on a cracker as he's giving this performance, and he doesn't lose impact whatsoever. It actually enhances his performance. You're like, holy shit. Like, whoa. So the remark of a great actor is being able to act through the eating, or act through the drinking, or the act through the... And still be as impactful, and it brings a quality of realism to it, because sometimes we eat while we're talking, we have something to say while we're eating. Wonderful. Want to get drunk and fool around? Oh yeah, I love these little slices of reality. It's so cute, it's so wonderful, it's great. I love that quick cut scene where Brody's flipping through all the books about sharks, and you see it in his glasses. So wonderfully done, because you see him being so very serious and stoic, and the image is going through his glasses, which is a wonderful capture. Spielberg, what a wonderful idea to capture that. But then also we see just the really grim and really impactful pictures, like the guys sitting in the big jaws, the 8 or 10 guys taking a picture in the jaws of I'm assuming a whale shark. It's definitely not a great white, like a whale shark, and the guy sitting. Anyway, we see all these really impactful, almost the entire leg being bitten away, and we have barely any leg left. All the really gruesome, impactful, and shocking pictures, I'm sure, are not from one book. There are multiple books, but we captured it all as if it were one book. Very well done. Very well done. I like that a lot. This is no boat accident. I love So first of all, I love Hooper's like first interaction with all the people, and there's so much chaos going on when he shows up, and he's just like the kind of the voice of reason. And you know, Brody had called him, and yes, so I love that first interaction where Brody shows up. He's so Hooper shows up. He's so unassuming. His appearance is everything, but he is the hope that Brody has been looking for, which is great. But then right after that, he goes to look at the body, and he's like, "This is no boat accident." So his expertise absolutely shines through, regardless of what he looks like or his appearance. His expertise shines through, and that's what we're looking for in that character, in Hooper. Very well done in those two quick scenes right next to each other as we establish who Hooper is in this film. Really, really well done. Really well done. This was this was a shark. He says this is no boat accident. He said it was no coral reef. This was a shark. And then boom, without hesitation, we cut to the shark that the guys caught, and they're like opening its mouth. Brilliantly done. Very, very well done on the dock where they've got it strung up and they're opening its mouth. Really, really well done. I love that we lose not a beat when he says this was a shark. Boom, we cut to that shark that they're opening. Very, very well done. Editing, it won for editing, and it deserved it for little pieces like this that are perfect. I don't think I have any complaints about any of the editing in this entire film, which is great to know that it won an Academy Award, and there are no complaints for the editing. Again, the outfits, you see all the outfits, you're like, oh my God, I would not be caught dead in that outfit. But in 1975, they were wearing that? Okay. I love that in that scene, when they've got the shark strung up and they're opening its mouth and they all think this is the shark we've caught. You see in the back distance, you see Quint going by on his ship with that big grin on his face. He gets it. He knows that is not the shark. As much as Hooper knows it is not the shark. Maybe he can't explain it like Hooper can explain it, but he certainly sure as hell 100% knows that the shark that they caught is not the shark. And that's why we see him going by with that big fucking smile on his face. Like, you guys are ridiculous. Really? Okay, whatever. And the dialogue, all the dialogue on the ship is so well done. Again, conversational. Everybody's talking at once, but we capture what we want. We hear what we want. So well done. I think movies are really missing that nowadays. Really missing that nowadays. Nowadays, when you listen to the dialogue, it all feels scripted. It feels like, okay, we hear this person, we hear nothing else. We hear this person, we hear nothing. You know, we are listening to every line that's written instead of everything going on at once, and then we just pick out the lines that are written. You know, I can't, it's hard to explain it, but it definitely sounds different. It's not conversation. It's not real life. It sounds scripted nowadays, whereas this doesn't. It sounds like we've captured something in the midst of so much going on, which is like real life. So much going on. Oh my God. That scene where Mrs. Kentner slaps Brody, it always impacts me really, because it's so unjustified yet so real and raw when she slaps him, and then you know my son, I heard that you knew somebody got attacked, somebody killed, and you let people go in the water anyway. And then she, afterwards she walks away, and the mayor says, she's wrong, and Brody says, no, she's not, and walks away. It's so real and so raw, and they Spielberg captured it so well that it's just, oh, it hurts. And then it bleeds into the next scene, which is perfect. Brody is just like miserable, sitting at dinner, miserable, hasn't touched his food, just like wallowing in depression and pity and like, what I should have done. And so many people talk about this mimic scene and being so brilliant and so wonderful. And I hear so many people talk about this, and I'm not here to say that it's not wonderful. I'm here to say that I focus on a completely different part of this whole scene. Most people focus on, oh, the kid is so cute to like mimic his, his brooding and his fingers and oh, it's so cute. Oh, no, what I focus on is right after when Brody says, "Give us a kiss," and the boy says, "Why?" And he says, "'Cause I need it." Oh, like that breaks my heart. Way more than the boy like mimicking him. The boy mimicking him is cute. Yeah, okay, it's fine, it's cute. But what really makes an impact is when he understands. He's a little boy. He doesn't want to give his dad a kiss, but his dad needs it, and he gets that he needs it. And the fact that he gives him that's heartbreaking. That's like so sweet and captured so well. I'm not a father, but it hits the heartstrings absolutely. That's what I focus on that scene is the ending. Give us a kiss. Why? Because I need it. Brilliant. And then I have this huge note about when Hooper shows up. I got the wine. Oh my God, it's so brilliant. I love this scene. This is why I have to have wine when I watch this scene. Because this scene is done so well. And that's what comes to mind when I watch this scene is the wine, is the red wine. But the characters, the situation, the timing of what's going on. You watch that non-cut one scene where he sits down and he's like, I brought red and white, wasn't sure what you were going to be serving. Who's eating that? Anybody eating that? And he pulls it over, and the timing of him, and then he's talking, I hear you're into sharks. I never heard it put that way. This whole conversation, there's zero cut. There's no cut. There's no editing. It's one shot. And Brody starts opening up the wine. Oh my God, it's just brilliant. The timing is so wonderful. As he's I'm going to tell the oceanographic, you still have a problem here. Why are you going to tell him that? As he's opening up the wine, it's just gorgeous. And then we start to, do cuts. And then we start to do cuts. And then he feels his... What I love about that scene is he's got at least an inch of white wine, 2 pieces of ice, an inch of white wine, and he just pours the red wine in there like he fills his entire drinking glass with it. It is not a wine glass, it is a drinking glass. And he's fucked at this time. He's drank so much, he's so depressed, he hasn't eaten anything, and he's just like, more. And then he gives them the wine. So cute, so wonderfully done, and perfect within the characters. This whole scene is so beautifully done. Martin's afraid of water. He won't even go to the water. I think there's a clinical name for it. Yeah, drowning. I love that line. And then the Hooper and the Brody back and forth about the sharks. Is it true the shark's this? Is it true? Yes. Back and forth. I love that. Then let's go and let's have one more drink and then open the fucking fish. And she's like, can you do that? I can do anything. I'm the chief of police. I love that line. That is probably one of my favorite lines in this whole film. One of the lines... Yes, of course, I wrote down in the book, the most memorable line is, you're going to need a bigger boat. But what really comes to my mind every time I think of this film is this line. I can do anything. I'm the chief of police. I love it. There is so much in the culmination of that scene with the kid. There is so much in the culmination of those two scenes with Mrs. Kintner slapping him, his depression, his going into that dinner scene, the kid mimicking him. I need a kiss, and then I'd love to talk to your husband. She says, I'd love to too. I wish I could too. And he's just so in the wine, and he's drinking the wine. Let's go open the fish. And the culmination of these two beautiful scenes and this carry through from this character feeling like, I wish I could have done more. And finally I can do more, and I'm going to. I will not miss the opportunity again. I fucked up before by not closing the beach. I'm not going to do that again. Why? Because I'm the chief of police. I can do whatever I want. And I love it. I love it. Love it. The culmination. And that's why this line makes such an impact on me when I hear it. And I think about this line every time I think about this movie. It's because it's a culmination of such a beautiful arc for this character. This shift and this change in this character. Like I said before, Brody's character changes so much throughout this film. It's such a... It compels me more than any other character. I like the contrast, the cool contrast between everybody showing up 4th of July on the island, like, oh, la 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 la, happy, 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 everybody showing up 4th of July, and the contrast, the cutting between, Brody and Hooper trying to secure everything and trying to make sure, what do we do to make sure that, we can catch the sharks, we can spot the sharks, we can keep everybody safe. Really neat thing. I like that. A little mistake that I found, I may have noticed, I think I noticed this before, but I wrote the note tonight that when his son is taking, he has a birthday present, his birthday present is that boat, and his son is, I'm trying to get through these notes because we're already at 50 minutes and I have like 3 or 4 pages of notes still, 3. His son is trying to take this boat into the ocean with his friends, so there's like 8 or 10 of them carrying this boat. That scene where they're carrying, and Brody comes in and takes him aside, stops them, takes him aside and says, why don't you take the boat into the pond? Oh, Dad, the pond's for old ladies. Yeah, I know it's for old ladies, but why don't you do it for the old man? Really cute. And then he says, oh, all right. So here's a revealing mistake, a mistake that I caught probably, maybe 6 or 8 months ago, maybe a year ago, a while ago. I caught this a while ago. I don't know how long. I've had a lot to drink tonight. I don't know how long I caught this mistake, but here we are. I'm able to review it and say, yes, I caught this mistake. I have never heard anybody else talk about this mistake. So here I get to take a chance to say, hey, I caught a little mistake in directing in that I wish that... Anyway, I'm just going to say, so when he does that, when he says, for the old man, take it into the pond, and the boy says, okay, watch. The boy walks off, his son walks off in a completely different direction than where the boat and all his friends were carrying. Completely different direction. He walks off this way, and his friends are over here with the boat. And they can't. I just told you to tell your friends to take it. You just walked away from your boat. Ugh. Okay. Once I noticed it, I couldn't not notice it. Once I saw it, I couldn't not see it. Every time I watch the movie now, I see that, and I'm like, oh, man. He's got him walking off in a completely... He said, okay, he's going to tell his friends to take it into the pond, and we know that he takes it into the pond, but he's walking off in a completely different direction than where his friends are. Literally, watch the screenshot. He's walking off in this direction where his friends are over here. Yeah. Oh, man. Okay. Anyway, not to say that this movie isn't brilliant. In any brilliant film, you're going to find little mistakes. I love the misdirection of the hoax of the the kids with the fake fin, and then we go right from that to he made me do it. So we go right from that to actually the shark going into the pond. Holy shit, we just told him to take his boat into the pond. Inadvertently you put your son right into danger's path. Great misdirection and great timing. Wonderful. An hour two into I wrote it down to challenge number 2. 2 hours and 4 minutes. So an hour. Oh, holy shit. The movie is 2 hours and 4 minutes long. An hour and 2, literally halfway to the minute, halfway through the movie, we finally see the face of Jaws. And I said it in my review, in another review, that sometimes there are mistakes. Oh, my review of Saving Private Ryan. Saving Private Ryan, you don't see Ryan until like 3/4 of the way of the movie through. And that was on purpose. We don't see Jaws until halfway through, but that was not on purpose. It was because they couldn't get the fucking shark to work. But how like life? Life is not an accident. It's not an accident. There are no coincidences. I, like God, do not believe in coincidence. I, like God, do not play with dice and do not believe in coincidence. Life is not an accident. This is not an accident. The fact that they couldn't get the shark to work and they couldn't show it earlier made a brilliant film decision to not show the shark until halfway through. And we constantly remark how brilliant it was that we don't see the main villain until halfway through the film. Wow. And it was purely by accident because they couldn't get the damn thing to work. Wow. But brilliant. Now, halfway through, we finally see side profile, half of the face of the shark. We don't see the whole thing. We see just the half of the face. Wow. 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 I love that Hooper and Quint don't get along. And from what I heard, Dreyfuss and Robert Shaw, did not get along either. And so it just helped that their two characters didn't get along throughout the whole film. Really, really, really well done. You go inside the cage. Cage goes in the water. You go in the water. Shark's in the water. Our shark. Farewell and adieu to you, fair Spanish ladies. Love that line. Love that line. That part is just... I love soaking it up. Sometimes I literally rewind and watch it again because it's so... You go in the cage. Cage goes in the water. You go in the water. Oh my God. That's so well done. When we first reveal the craziness of Quint's character. Because the first time we saw Quint was way earlier in the film. Like I said, the first time we see Quint is really early in the film, and he has such an impact, but he's such a raw character, and we don't know what to think about him because he literally has a couple of lines and then he walks out. And we're not sure what to think of him. But here we are, like 20 or 30 minutes later, we get a real sense of who he is. And he's fucking, wait, do we trust him? He's kind of out of his mind, but he's kind of a brilliant at the same time. Like, wow, okay. What am I going to tell the kids? Tell them I went fishing. I love that line. Tell them I went fishing. But just before he gets on the boat, with Quint. I made this note tonight. I never really expected. I've talked about, in some of my other reviews, I've talked about foreshadow and how sometimes it's really done well and sometimes it's in your face and you're just like, that was a poor excuse. It was blunt foreshadowing. And then sometimes it's like so subtle. You're like, whoa, I didn't get that. This one is absolutely, I did not get it. And I still watch the film and go, I still don't get it. Like it's wonderful foreshadow because it's not in your face. It's subtle, really well done. And I feel like anybody watching it today probably wouldn't get it. When Brody pulls the line and releases the cage and the oxygen tanks, and Hooper's like, "Why don't you screw around with these tanks and they're gonna blow up?" And then Quint says, "Just ask me which line to pull. You got all that fancy equipment there, Hooper. I don't know what he's gonna do with it. He's gonna chew on it or he's gonna eat it." So it's brilliant foreshadow. The lines, don't screw with these tanks. They're gonna blow up. And then what does Quint say? I don't know what he's going to do with it. Maybe eat it. So you are literally foreshadowing the end of the film, how we killed Jaws. But it's so subtle and so well done. I'm not catching on as the audience. I just feel like it's Quint being Quint. And it's just Brody not knowing what he's dealing with. And Hooper being like, don't fuck with this, being Hooper. I feel like the characters are so well done and so being who they are. And these lines are just who they are. I don't feel like it's foreshadow, but it is. It is. Wow. Very brilliantly done. Film classic, 10 out of 10. This is why. These are the reasons why it's so brilliant. I feel like Quint takes Brody under his wing, and yet he doesn't like Hooper and like bosses him. The way he deals with Hooper and the way he deals with Brody are completely different, and it's so apparent. It's so like crystal clear and thick and like wonderful. I love that scene. Why don't you come down? I can go straight ahead. Why don't you come down in here and chum some of this shit? So beautifully done. How he's so like frustrated with what he has to do and he's chumming. And then his reaction to seeing Jaws. Fucking Roy Scheider. His reaction to seeing Jaws is perfect. And this is why this line became so iconic. Because his reaction and then his delivery, you're going to need a bigger boat, is so brilliant. Not only is the acting brilliant, but the way Spielberg captured it and the way the editor kept it and made it look. This is why that line became so iconic. Wow. Oh my God, the first time you see the shark pass by the bottom of the boat, fuck, that looks like a whale. It doesn't look like a shark. It's so huge. It looks like that's the point. It's so huge. It looks like a whale, not a shark. It's insane. Like, whoa. Such interesting camera shots throughout this whole end part on the boat. There are so many up shots, like from down looking up from down looking up. So many interesting shots I never would have thought of, as I'm not a director, but even if I was a director, never would have thought to like put the camera down here and look up, put the camera down here and look up. He did so many up shots. You don't see that a lot in film today, and yet it works so well. He made it work so well. I was shocked to see that. Wonderful camera shots. I can't say enough about this wonderful scene at night. So they've all gone through this day together. It's been a little stressful. Brody hates what he's doing. He's been relegated to like fucking throwing shit out the, fish guts out the boat. Quint doesn't like Hooper. He thinks he's got a bunch of money. He's a city folk. Hooper doesn't like Quint because he thinks Quint's just like some, I don't know. I don't know how to put it into words, and we're already an hour and 3. Their characters have clashed so much, and so much has happened that not only the 3 characters, but also the shark has clashed in what they know and what they expect. There has been so much clash in the last couple of scenes, that whole first day on the boat, that this night on the boat is so gorgeous. And what we need is they start to relate and they start to come together. It's gorgeous. So much friction and dichotomy and angst in that first day on the boat, that entire day on the boat, that we finally get to the night and we relax. They've been drinking, they've eaten, they're laughing, they're having fun, they're comparing scars, they're, talking about life. And then we get that gorgeous scene. Gorgeous. Wow. Robert Shaw. Wow. Talking about the Indianapolis. And we're like captivated. As the audience, we're like, whoa. We're like Hooper. Hooper's like, you're on the Indianapolis? And Brody doesn't know what it is. And then he starts talking about it. And we, as the audience, are literally sucked in by the fact that it's dark. There's nothing going on. There is no soundtrack. And we are sucked into Robert Shaw's performance. Brilliant. And him talking about the Indianapolis and what happened. And we are just like, we went from so much turmoil and action and wonderful to just slow it down. Pause on every fucking thing. We've got one person talking about something really serious. And it's so brilliant. It's so brilliant. And it brings everybody together. In a weird fucking quirky way. It does. It brings everybody together. Wow. I cannot say enough about that scene. I cannot. Wow. And then they all start singing, "You show me the way to go home." I used to sing that song all the time because of this movie. I used to sing that just because the emotion of that scene is so brilliant. So brilliant. I think that Hooper respects Quint 1,000% more after that scene than before that scene. And it shows. I don't know really what happened on set between Dreyfuss and Shaw, but I know that the characters, Hooper respects Quint very much more after that scene, knowing that he was on the Indianapolis and knowing what he went through, because because Hooper is a shark expert. How could he not know about what happened on the Indianapolis? And to know that Quint, he is on the boat with somebody who actually was on the Indianapolis and survived. That's huge. 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 Too bad we have such short way to go to the end of the film for Hooper to really show his respect of Quint. Too bad. But it is what it is. It is what it is. I wrote this note and I believe it. And one of the reasons why I've said why I love the intricacies of Brody's character and would love to play it. Here's where I love the intricacies of Quint's character and would love to play it, is because I feel like Quint, even though Hooper has come a long way in his respect for Quint, I feel Quint changes zero. Why? He has disdain for everyone. He doesn't give a fuck. He has a disdain for everyone because I think now, knowing what we know about the Indianapolis, he believes he is living on borrowed time. He should have died with all of his mates, his shipmates, on the Indianapolis. And he realizes that he is living on borrowed time. I should have died then. I didn't. I'm alive. For God knows what. I should have died with them, with all of them. That's what makes his character so interesting and would love to play, is because knowing that from the beginning of his character, you have to carry that through, because he didn't just know that at this point in the movie. He knew that back when the Indianapolis happened in the 40s. Okay? They delivered the bomb, the Hiroshima bomb. Okay, in the 40s. So you have to know that that character has felt that way for how long. So when he shows up in that first scene in the movie, he already feels that way, whether we as the audience know that or not. We don't know that as the audience yet, but he as the character knows that. Much like, like in a movie like, it's hard to single one out. But in a movie where we have a killer, and you know you are the killer, you have to know you are the killer from the beginning of the movie to the end of the movie, regardless of what the audience knows. So if you're trying to hide who you are in the beginning of the film, if you're trying to hide who you are, you still have to know who you are in the beginning of the film, whether the audience does or doesn't. So that's why I bring up Quint. Quint has to know in the beginning, in our first scene, that he survived the Indianapolis. And in part, he probably feels like he's living on borrowed time. He should have died long time ago. And his disdain for life, his disdain for everyone in it, has to be apparent. And that's what drives his character. Gorgeous performance by Robert Shaw. Gorgeous performance by Robert Shaw. I love it. I caught this tonight. Territoriality. When they talk early in the film about territoriality, Hooper says, territoriality, just a theory I happen to agree with. If territoriality was real and this shark was exercising territoriality and staying where the food was, then why the fuck is he way out in the middle of nowhere with these guys on the ship? It didn't make sense. Little hiccup that I caught tonight and was like, wait, that doesn't make sense. If territory, why would he be way out there in the middle of the ocean when he should be where the food is, where he's been getting food? I don't know. I think they have that line where they're like, let's lead him into shore instead of him leading us out to the sea. Anyway, I caught that tonight and was like, that doesn't really hit home. Back home, we got a taxidermy man. He gonna have a heart attack when he see what I bring him. I love that line. I just had to throw that in because I love that line. I love that. He can't stay under with 3 barrels. He can't. I love that Quint is like, there's no way he's going to stay under with 3 barrels. And then it pops up and he's like, then he goes under and he's like, again, the acting. Robert Shaw is just like, you see he's never seen a shark like this before. He thinks he knows what's up. And I think he knows that maybe he's met his match. Maybe not. I don't know. It feeds into the whole borrowed time thing where he believes he's living on borrowed time. And that's what drives his character. And I think these reactions feed into that. And if you have that mindset when you're playing the character, you can have these great expressions and these great moments that feed into that make it feel more real. I love it. We're going to draw him in. We're going to draw him in the shallow waters and drown him. Finally, we see the shore. So in this whole time, we haven't seen the shore. We haven't seen land. It's all open land. Like I said, I made that note where they're out in the middle of nowhere. Why wouldn't he be where the food is? And then finally here we see that little strip of land. Every time I watch the film, I'm like, oh, finally we see land. Finally, they're close to land. And he's talking about how we're going to draw him in and we're going to draw him in and drown him. So finally we're close to land and we know it. You broke the ship. You broke the bloody ship. I think of that line every time I watch. You broke the ship. You broke the bloody ship. I think of that line every single time I watch this movie. And Quint really pushes the ship. And Hooper's telling him, don't do that. And then it blows up, and it's like, fuck. Now we're stuck in the middle of nowhere, and the engine doesn't work, and oh my god! It makes me laugh only because because of Galaxy Quest. It makes me laugh only because of that. Like, oh my god! If I hadn't seen Galaxy Quest and known Galaxy Quest nearly as much, this scene probably wouldn't be funny. It would be dire. It'd be serious, like it's supposed to be. But now when I watch it, I'm like that scene always just makes me laugh when he blows up the ship because. You broke the ship. Oh, the underscene. 114. I only got a couple notes. Okay. Love the underwater scene. Gorgeous. Again, 1975. Such beautiful underwater scenes. And I love to sit and analyze. Because I've seen the movie so many times and I can take myself out of it. I love to sit and analyze which scenes are actually real sharks and which scenes are actually fake sharks. And you can tell by the way it moves as it's going away and you see its tail moving. You're like, that's fucking real. And then as you see it attacking and the way the jaws, that's fucking fake. And you see it on top of the cage shift doing that thing, and you're like, that's real. But I love tearing that whole scene apart, like really analyzing what are the real shark and what are the fake shark, but all together, gorgeous scene. This whole underwater Hooper's in the cage and he gets attacked and he goes down. Beautifully done. And holy shit, when it attacks when it attacks the ship, oh my god, I'm turning it the wrong way. Here, come here. When it attacks the ship and I'm focusing too much on that. Gorgeous scene. When it comes up, attacks. I'm not expecting. I guess I didn't expect Quint to get killed, and that's why I would love to have that pop with the shark eating Quint. I didn't expect that to happen, but it's such a beautiful, wonderful scene, and I think he's been waiting for this to happen, and of course this is how he has to go. With what happened on the Indianapolis, he couldn't have died from a heart attack. He couldn't have died from old age. He couldn't have died from a drunk driver accident. He couldn't have died, skydiving. He had to die this way. He had to die from a shark attack. Had to. And this is the brilliance of this scene, is that we as the audience have been set up to know he had to die. And this is a foreshadow that's not a foreshadow, not real. Yes and no. This is so yes and no, not foreshadow, that it's brilliant. We had to know that he knew that he's living on borrowed time. He had to die. He should have died on the Indianapolis. He should have died. A shark should have killed him, and he believes it. And in his soul, he believes it. And so that has led him to this point where he is attacked, killed, and eaten by a shark. Had to have happened. Whew. How brilliant for that character. Wow. How brilliant for that character. Smile, you son of a bitch. Great line. One of those great, kill the villain lines, much like, get away from her, you bitch. Such great, I'm hasta la vista, baby. Such great lines to take the villain down, smile, you son of a bitch. 1975, wonderful. And I love that little scene at the end where they're they're paddling back to sea. What day is this? I think it's Tuesday. I used to be afraid of the water. I can't imagine why. I love that little scene where they're sculling back to land. They're not far away. Brody's character has changed so much between the beginning of the film and at this point. Wow. Well, there's so much to say about Jaws. I could go on another hour and 20 minutes easily, and I tried to get through this as soon as possible. I hope that I didn't ramble on too much. I hope that I gave you some things to think about. Not just about Jaws, but about filmmaking overall. And what I see as not only the audience, but from an actor's perspective and somebody who wouldn't mind directing. I wouldn't mind directing. So I hope that I've given you things to think about. I hope I gave you new things to look at when you watch Jaws. And if you haven't seen Jaws, I hope that I've inspired you to I need to put Jaws on and just watch it and see what the fuck he's talking about. Okay, so thank you very much for watching, and I'm going to get you a video again this week as soon as I can. I kind of got to look at my list and figure out what's next, because we're after Christmas. Although there is a Christmas movie I still want to review, so I may get you two this week. One of a Christmas movie a little late, but a Christmas movie that I would like to review, and then maybe one something in the book. Okay, so thank you for listening, and we'll talk to you soon.